them criminal syndicates actually. New forces have emerged and have consolidated. Some of them criminal syndicates actually. Robbers, looters. You can see
when he mentions criminal syndicates, you realize what he mentions: robbers, looters. He doesn't talk about like criminality such as violating people's rights, like he's a friend to Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
What is happening at Uganda Airlines? What is happening even in the private sector? Both State House has been commercialized. People go there, bribe, get blue letters, instructions from him, and they exploit those instructions to go and do many wrong things. So he has reached that point when he's too tired to be fighting multiple battles at multiple fronts.
And do you know his suggestion? And I'm sorry for pausing here. He doesn't give you all this. He doesn't criticize Museveni so that you can now support another independent candidate. Absolutely not. He thinks that if Museveni is this tired, cannot fight multiple fronts in one or another, the best option to look at is Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
In fact, I'm even shocked that Bobi Wine got 2.7 million votes.
24%.
Let's say 24.7, which is roughly 25. I want to round up to the others.
I'm sure he's not shocked. He's just playing because he knows these were fake numbers. They knew Museveni has been preemptively preparing to give himself over 70% shortly after the 2021 elections, where he started claiming that Bobi Wine had cheated with 1 million votes, and then he changed to 2.7, 1.7. It wasn't fair at all.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be looking at that gentleman, Andrew Mwenda. I think we have two conversations going to be looking at this one. I think they had a conversation recently on this podcast called the Bad Natives Podcast. Highly respected folks in the journalism industry, Mr. Onyangobo, Mr. Andrew Kabushenga, and Andrew Mwenda himself, a complete sellout. And then I'm going to be looking at the comments he made when he appeared on UBC just 24 hours ago. I mean, when you look at Andrew Mwenda, what should come to your mind is none other than but a double speaker. The true definition of talking from both sides. A face of someone who really sold credibility for proximity to power as he continues to posture as this neutral guy. It is the illusion of neutrality. The true definition of rationalizing repression. I mean, he goes on to criticize Museveni, but at the same time, then he goes on to endorse Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Remember, there was a moment when folks from the EU paid a visit to Caleb Akandwa, now famously known as Salim Saleh, and they were asking him to rein in on Muhoozi Kainerugaba, to tell him to stop posting all this nonsense he usually posts on his social media platforms, gloating about torturing people and abducting them. And the defense from Andrew Mwenda, who had been part of that meeting, he was like, why are you telling us what to do? Rightly so, how convenient. He's never had this argument at all, zero. He's known that the Museveni government has been funded for years by foreign donors. He'd never say, we don't want your help. I mean, whoever funds you is in position to boss you around. Duh. But when it came to telling his friend, hey, can you calm down? You shouldn't be proud about abducting and torturing people. That's when they cross the lines. Like, why you European people want to tell us on how we should lead ourselves? That's a game they usually use, especially folks who commit crimes, defend the indefensible, lawlessness and impunity and the abuse of human rights. When a non-government organization in Europe or like an international body like Human Rights Watch comes out and says, hey, we see what's going on in Uganda and we condemn it, they'll be like, oh, they want to colonize us. No, they're just trying to play you. So that's what we're going to be looking at. But I want to start here with giving you, let's go and watch here when he was telling us who Museveni is at this particular moment, and then we're going to go on and look at what he said on UBC just a few hours ago.
From May 22, he did not reshuffle cabinet this time. So everything, it also reflects the past.
Yeah.
He's exhausted both physically and intellectually. You can see it fatigue on him.
Museveni is exhausted both physically and intellectually. But he goes on to support him. Or if Museveni is not going to be running or is going to be president, how about Muhoozi Kainerugaba? He's a charlatan.
And even when you talk to him, he has gotten tired. As he has gotten tired, and this is why I agree with Robert Kapshenga, new forces have emerged and have consolidated. Some of them criminal syndicates, actually. Robbers, looters. You can see what is happening at Uganda Airlines, what is happening even in the private sector. So both State House has been commercialized. People go.
That's how funny when he talks about, what did he say? Let's go back here and listen to what he had to say here.
You them criminal syndicates, actually. New forces have emerged and have consolidated. Some of them criminal syndicates, actually.
Okay.
Robbers, looters. You can see what.
When he mentions criminal syndicates, you realize what he mentions? Robbers, looters. He doesn't talk about like criminality such as violating people's rights, like he's a friend to Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
What is happening at Uganda Airlines, what is happening even in the private sector. So both State House has been commercialized. People go there, bribe, get blue letters, instructions from him, and they exploit those instructions to go and do many wrong things. So he has reached that point when he's too tired to be fighting multiple battles at multiple fronts.
And do you know his suggestion? And I'm sorry for pausing here. He doesn't give you all this. He doesn't criticize Museveni so that you can now support another independent candidate. Absolutely not. He thinks that if Museveni is this tired, cannot fight multiple fronts in one or another, the best option to look at is Muhoozi Kainerugaba.
At the age of 81. But also remember, when you're in office for 40 years, your biological depreciation is 2 years per year. So you can add another 20 years. So it's 102 in real terms. And at that yes, just 11, he's 11 years younger. So what I feel is that he does not have the energy and the zest and the vigor. And he has said this himself in an interview before, to begin running after so many criminal syndicates that have emerged in the state and outside of the state, but are exploiting their proximity to power. He can no longer do.
You're looking at that face of this man who wants proximity to power by getting close, cuddling Muhoozi Kainerugaba. That's what he wants.
That. So what we are likely to see is Museveni is going to preside over a system that is that continues to deteriorate, but his presence may slow down the speed of deterioration and keep some modicum of stability. But in terms of the capacity of the state to get to do much.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what you just had. Let's go back here. Listen here. Oh my God. This is called normalizing the abnormal. This is what the tactic is using. How do I normalize the abnormal? Listen to the tactic he uses here.
To deteriorate, that is to see, is Museveni is going to preside over a system that is that continues to deteriorate, but his presence may slow down the speed of deterioration and keep some modicum of stability.
Oh my Lord. This man is trying to explain violence as stability. That the presence of Museveni, while we see the continued abduction of people, the extrajudicial killings, the abuse of human rights, the deterioration of the judicial system, let's say, the justice system, is actually okay. Because the presence of Museveni, the continued firm grip on power by Museveni, actually normalizes, it sort of slows down the level of deterioration. Who thinks like this, ladies and gentlemen? It is Andrew Mwenda, the intellectual. And this is what he wants you to get. All the times you watch Andrew Mwenda, he wants you to look at him as this sort of a principled analyst. He's giving you a principled analysis. But this is 100% calculated loyalty to Museveni's coercive regime How do you reduce, the problems, the repression, the oppression people are going through too? When Museveni stays in power, the amount of deterioration is not going to be as bad as when he left. Oh, geez. This is talking, on both sides, from both sides. Museveni is so bad, but we've got to keep him because we don't know what might come. Fear of the unknown. He creates some sort of a boogeyman. Oh, you don't know what would happen if Museveni left power. After telling you that, this is how this man is, but we better keep him. What? Gosh.
But in terms of the capacity of the state to get to do much, I do not see that coming. I don't see it coming in the next 5 years. Because two things have happened, Charles.
Yeah.
Two things have happened.
That is.
It's so sad. You can go on and watch that entire thing. I will just show you here if you didn't watch it. It's called the Bad Native Podcast, and amazing folks. I don't know what that is. It's I cannot define that. But how do you say we better keep Museveni because the level of oppression we see would be actually worse if he left? Oh, this psychic man, he knows what's going to happen. What you just watched is a portrait of a man who traded journalism and integrity for proximity to power, to be close to Muhoozi. And probably, this might be telling, he knows what Muhoozi might do. Maybe Muhoozi might be lethal, dangerous than Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He continues to justify this while deliberately clinging to this image of an independent thinker, independent journalist. But all he does, the reason is why he poses that and, brings out some criticism against the Museveni regime is to try to legitimize his moral compass. When we were growing up, we looked up to Andrew Mwenda. He was a voice of reason and logic. He held the government accountable. Everyone was afraid of Andrew Mwenda, even in having conversations. But now, he's going to twist himself like notes, like pretzels, to justify the lawlessness and the impunity in our country. He's wanting you to look at him and be like, oh, what a smart man, Andrew Mwenda. Listen to this analysis. Now, let's go back. After telling you that's what Museveni is, listen to what he says here in this show he had on UBC.
If I'm not mistaken, in that discussion on bad natives, I mentioned that voter turnout will be something like 45%, and Museveni will get about 65% or 45%. I believe that actual voter count could even have been 45 or 40. Yeah, because in this election, the opposition, NUP, was very weak and absent on most of the polling stations across the country. The likelihood that in very many NRM strongholds, because there was no voter verification biometric system used, opportunities for NRM people to tick for the president and the MPs to exploit the process, also tick for themselves, were very high. It's very possible that anything between 1.5 to 2 million votes were of people who did not show up, but voted. Also, I want to put a caveat on what I say. It is not always the case that because they ticked for somebody, it means he was not a potential supporter. He may be a potential supporter, a real supporter who did not show up. And I've seen this in NRM strongholds. If you go to the Kato Corridor, Nakaseke, those areas of Sembabele, which are Kyankwas, where the Balalu, and other areas in Sinjiro, where you find high concentrations of NRM support, they could say, hey, how come Mukazambele did not show up? Okay, they vote for him. Mwenda katiziri, Muteri. Do you see? They vote for them. It happens so often. That does not reflect a weakness on the part of the rigging party. It reflects overwhelming strength.
Oh my God. Imagine. This is framing rigging as imperfect but acceptable. What happened to this man? What became of Andrew Mwenda? Listen to the example. That says, okay, if we have a few, listen to how he justifies this. Listen here. What does it?
That if the opposition has a polling agent, he is a lukewarm supporter of the opposition, they give him 50K, he sends the declaration forms, or in most cases, I need new people to be honest. I don't think they were in more than 35%.
And he does this, it's called gish galloping. where he brings a billion topics, issues to talk about. And as a result of bringing all these ones, he's not able to address one to its conclusive end and go on to another one. Like he tells you now in situations where some people are voting for others, they say, oh, that's okay. He says, oh, that's okay. It happens. It doesn't actually show weakness. It shows strength of the NRM. Then he goes on to say, oh, in other situations, they bribe folks. They give you like 50,000. And before he actually drives that point home, then says, oh, I want you to tell me if actually NOP had enough polling agents. Like, it's gish galloping. You're not able to concentrate on one. He's going to go on and throw at you a lot of arguments. And then, in the end, he's going to pose as this Victor, this smart guy, an intellectual who just gave you this wonderful show.
Over the polling stations in the country. So if you cannot even get a polling agent at a station, how do you expect to get the vote? So,
but even in situations where you have a polling agent, you said they are bribing that polling agent with 50,000. And in a situation where they're not bribing that polling agent, you have people voting for others. You see? Gish galloping.
So that is the first thing, that voter turnout was much less than 52%.
And then I think he does. He tries to present himself as this, he presents that electoral process in Uganda, the elections, as something of substance. These numbers were all fake. You don't even have to mention about voter turnout. What do you expect? As a journalist, I would think he shouldn't be holding power that be accountable over low voter turnout. In a situation where you've deployed in areas, places where people are going to be casting their ballots from, in situations where you've arrested supporters of a political candidate, presidential candidate, you've placed him under house arrest, you've shut down the internet, you've had all these soldiers and policemen saying, if Bobi Wine ever wins, this is what's going to happen. Vote for Museveni. What do you expect? Now, Mwenda is in this weird position where he's accusing and blaming the victim of a broken system while he gives all these flowers to a man who broke the system. Make it make sense, ladies and gentlemen.
I suspect it could be anything between 40 to 45%. In fact, I'm even shocked that Bobi Wine got 2.7 million votes.
24%.
Let's say 24.7, which is roughly 25. I want to round up to the areas.
I'm sure he's not shocked. He's just playing because he knows these were fake numbers. They knew Museveni has been preemptively preparing to give himself over 70% shortly after the 2021 elections, where he started claiming that Bobi Wine had cheated with 1 million votes, and then he changed to 2.7, 1.7. It wasn't fair at all.
The nearest 10th, he got 25%. It means that maybe in areas where he's strong also did the same thing. Remember that it is the opposition, people who have been in the opposition can say this, where they're also strong and they have that kind of cultural and political strength, they will take the ballots of those who have not shown up. Maybe Bobi Wine got 2 million votes, Museveni got 6 million votes. Museveni got 7.9, but maybe he got 6. 1.9 are extras. Bobi Wine is 700 or 1 million are extras. But by and large, what you see as the outcome is a sign of the relative strength of these candidates. Now, of course, in Uganda's history, we don't have members of parliament being re-elected. I'm going to do statistics. I've not yet finished them. I was working on them today. How many members of parliament were in the previous house and have been re-elected? What is their share?
What does that mean?
In the last election of 2021, less than 20% of incumbents were re-elected. We need to find out how many in this were. So the loss of people like Katuntu and Semuju is therefore not surprising. In fact, Katuntu is unique in the sense that there are only 8 members of parliament in Uganda who have been elected 5 times straight. It is Kadaga, Katuntu.
I think I've got to end this conversation. This man I don't know. He doesn't explain to you the circumstances under which the NUP didn't have enough or wasn't able to have some of its members run in some constituencies. In situations where, for example, in constituencies where Thomas Taibwa, Anita Among, the Kasaija, the Jessica Lupo, the Nyamutoro, what happened in those voting areas, in those constituencies? What happened? He's in this stupid game of both siding the story, equating victims and the perpetrators. It's not a fair game. You're blaming the NUP that has been fought by the state machinery, the Electoral Commission, the media, the security apparatus, to mention but a few. But he wants to make you look at the NUP as if it is in equal footing with the NRM. Absolutely not.
Elijah Cooper, Bakabulindi, this man of Remiyaga, who has also lost Chikubo.
Yeah.
Okoto Gong, Bright Rwamirama in Isinjiro. Who is there is a lady called Namuyanda. She's even a minister. One lady. There are 8 only. It's rare to have a person be elected 5 times in a row. So you will not be surprised that after 5, the only person who beats that record is President Yoweri Museveni.
Let's stop here. Because he thinks that Museveni is elected. Rigging. You know, all he does when he's hosted on these shows, he makes sure that he makes you focus on opposition flaws in order to distract you from state crimes. What we see, how the justice system is being weaponized against Museveni's political opponents, how the issues were of ballot stuffing. But at the end of it all, this is why we shouldn't care about what Muenda says, because it doesn't really matter whether he criticizes Museveni. He's going to go on and vote for Museveni or ask you to vote or support Muhoozi Kainerugaba. This is a man who at one time said that if Mugisha Muntu had a political party, he would be campaigning, he would be traversing across the country, campaigning for Mugisha Muntu. Mugisha Muntu belongs to the Alliance for National Transformation, and Mwenda continues to posture like this independent intellectual. And while he endorses and enjoys the brutality of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, it is complete and utter nonsense that you shouldn't pay attention to. Let me know what you think. I just saw that and I'm like, our people should be told. Now, I know, usually, how people be like, now, if Mordecai, you are giving an analysis on Mwenda, are you as educated as him? That if we were to go by those standards, then the president will be asking for votes from folks who are as traveled, as experienced, as educated like him. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comment section. My name is Mordecai Murisa. I'll be back here soon. Please keep around. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.